It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Sports don't stop, and neither do we. Welcome to 365 Sports, your home for real conversations, original shows, and coverage that lives where sports actually happen. Join David Smoke, Craig Smoke, and myself, Paul Catalina, for in-depth interviews and local stories to the moments national media misses. 365 Sports brings you the voices, debates, and perspectives fans care about every single day. Subscribe now on YouTube, search 365 Sports, and never miss a moment because sports aren't seasonal. They're 365.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AMP-Pace.
Pace.
With EaseUS, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at EaseUS.com. That's EaseUS.com. EaseUS. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at ULike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. ULike.
Hey, it's Matt Mosley of The Matt Mosley Show. We want you to watch our show every day, 1 to 3 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And you get to see big name guests like Gary Patterson, Art Briles, Scott Drew, Doug McNamee, major Cowboys insiders, ESPN legends like Sal Palantonio. When news breaks on Cowboys or Baylor or NFL, we want you to look here first. 1 to 3 weekdays, it's the Matt Mosley Show.
Oh, Braylon Mullins, are you kidding me? Hold on, let me turn this down. My bad. All right, there we go. Are you kidding me, Braylon Mullins? Are you kidding me, UConn? What an absolute thriller. And I will tell you, game of the year, game of the decade, game of the I don't know what, but it was just absolutely amazing. Let me fix my camera a little bit, Cam. You keep right there, Cam Stewart. It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are presented by Slovakics. There you go. And Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, we thank you so much. We thank Socorro Family Ford. We thank Chairs for allowing us to adjust them during shows. And Cam Stewart, Chris Visser. What an absolute thriller. So UConn goes to the Final Four. And we're going to have Scott Burrell join us here momentarily. Okay, Scott was with us Saturday or Friday, excuse me. Felt like Saturday, felt like all weekend because it was such a lasting impression. Scott, of course, a UConn great, now the coach of Southern Connecticut, but more importantly, just like us, part of that thrill ride yesterday. I can say honestly, I'd had a lot of basketball. I hosted the Westwood One Sports Night Show, which I just called the Pete Sousa Show. I'm waiting for a phone call on that. I'm talking to Armin Williams on Wednesday, but I don't know if he's going to come down on me for that. But we took the Pete Sousa Show to national airwaves, and it was a great show Saturday night. Really unbelievable. We had Tim Brando, Fran Fraschilla, talked to a kid out of Raleigh who's on Sports Talk Radio there about Will Wade. But it was a long day of basketball. And then yesterday, the Tennessee just getting crushed by Michigan. I was a little soured on hoops. So when I saw it getting away from UConn, at halftime, I can honestly say I went and watched that Love Story show, right? Which was like, you might as well be a UConn fan at that point because it was rough. Because that show is just, it's very dark towards the end. But then I go back to UConn and I witness one of the greatest, most resilient comebacks that I had seen in a very long time. And I guess if Scott Burrell's here, I don't want to keep Scott waiting. We got him for like 10 minutes this morning. And it's pretty important when you have someone of his ilk waiting backstage that you bring him right to the forefront of the show. There's Scotty B. What's up, man?
Can you guys hear me today?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Okay, good.
Fantastic. I won't keep you too long, man.
Okay.
But I do want to ask you, yesterday, I'm sure you're on a text chain with all your UConn teammates, UConn alums. I mean, there's nothing like being a part of a team, and especially an elite one like you were part of. What was the reaction to the game-winning shot? Was there an initial text that came through?
Oh, yeah.
Like GTOF or whatever? Like tell me what happened.
No, because if you remember, 1990, they beat us the same exact way. Leitner hit a buzzer shot against us to go to the Final Four. So it was redemption for us. And obviously UConn's grown so much since those days, but the excitement of finally getting to beat them at the buzzer to go to the Final Four and they go home again.
Well, you were watching that comeback. Was there a point as a coach now at Southern Connecticut, a former player at UConn, an NBA player, where you noticed, okay, they've turned this, like UConn has turned this game. We're back in it. Was there a specific point where you saw that?
I just saw in the second half they had more energy, more fight, more energy. And I think Duke slowed the game down, which hurt themselves a lot. They had no fluidity to their offense, and UConn kept attacking. They weren't making a lot of shots, but the hustle plays, the turnovers they were causing, the energy was building in the second half for them. And little by little, they cut into that lead.
When you're down in a game like that, and it's such a pressure cooker of a situation, can you take us inside the huddle? Like, what did you notice last night or yesterday afternoon that made you feel as a UConn fan, okay, we've got it together, right? There's no panic. Yes. But also as someone who's been in those huddles, when you have that winning DNA, your Bulls teams, your UConn teams, like you're a winner. Like, what is it like in huddles like that?
Yeah. Number one's body language. You could tell their body language. Nobody had their head down. Nobody's shoulders were sloped. They still were talking to each other. The coaches still had great energy. Sometimes you got to fight through those struggles to get to the other side. And that's what they did. They kept grinding and grinding. And I'm telling you, body language goes a long way, because when you see one guy with his head down, you have to worry about picking him up while you're worried about yourself, worried about your own game. But they all were engaged with each other and ready to just keep moving forward.
One of the things I thought was special about that comeback was, well, there's two things. From a player perspective, Mullins never backed off. He never looked discouraged, and that goes to exactly the point you just made about body language. As a player, what do you have to do to maintain confidence in a shooting slump like that? And then also, where's your head got to be at to make a shot like that?
Well, number one, like it comes in recruiting. I mean, Coach Hurley does a great job of recruiting mentally tough, self-motivated kids. And you can tell those guys are in the gym all day. They didn't waver on their confidence. Their shots weren't going, but they kept pulling and they kept taking great open shots, not pump faking, moving it on. They kept shooting. And eventually they started falling late in the game. They made like 3 out of the last 4, whatever it was. But the work you put in is going to pay off. Especially it came at the right time for UConn. And you could just see, like, even Caravan, the senior, could have taken that last shot,
Yeah.
But he had confidence in the wherewithal to know I have a great shooter beside me who's open, make the extra pass, who's more open than I am, and take that shot.
What does this do for your self-esteem today? I mean, for real, you're a confident dude, but like, I mean, it just you are part basketball player, and you got to be part fan in moments like that yesterday, and you've got to walk around today just absolutely sky high. But what did that do for you internally, and how does that play into today?
A couple of things. Number one, everyone, if you live in Connecticut, you don't like Duke. I mean, Duke and UConn have been going at it for the longest time, last 40 years. So you enjoy beating Duke. They're always on top. They're always the best, but we're the real top dog now. And everybody still doesn't give us the credit we deserve, but we are the top dog in men's and women's basketball. That's number one. But number two, it just, as a coach, it motivates you. Find those guys that don't fight, that keep fighting. Find those guys that show great body language. They're going to find a way and a will to win and compete. And like, it's hard to find those guys because there's not a lot of them out there. And if they are out there, the higher majors will take them just because they have great body language and positive energy. They're not energy vampires sucking energy from other people. So it's hard to find those guys, but you got to keep fighting and to find those guys that will always have the agenda to make each other better, make themselves better, make the team better, and help your team win.
How real is that when Coach Hurley said, I thought that was just so cool when he said, this time of year, we know that we're going to win games like this. Like, how real is that mentality, and how does that come through in the execution on the floor?
I promise you, if you ever go to UConn and go to their practice facility and you see the names of all the stars and all the first-round picks, all the champions on the walls, like, it's a different place when you go there. I can imagine, like, if you go to Alabama for football, at a smaller version, if you walk on that campus and walk into the men's and women's practice facilities and you see champions and special people on those walls, it makes you want to be special. And I think that's what the guys they get, that see themselves being the next person on that wall, the next name on that wall, the next team that brings UConn to another Final Four and to another national championship.
How specific is what happened yesterday to Cam Boozer to college basketball? And what I mean by that is that's not going to happen to that dude in 3 or 4 years. But the moment is big, and he's a young guy going through that for the first time. It's like, welcome to the human race. I get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it happened. It happened. So for you, like, how real is that pressure on a young man like that? For somebody like you who not only went through it himself, but also coaches young men at Southern Connecticut. Yeah,
it's huge. I mean, like, everyone plays, the coach after the game's over. Like, everybody said he should have held the ball, and then UConn would have had to foul, and make 1 foul shot, 2 foul shots, the game's over. But in the moment, like, you're told to, get open, find open area. And he saw 2 guys that opened at the end of the court. So all he had to do was get it to him. But obviously UConn, just the tenacity of their defense, tipped it, got a steal. But one thing that's going to be, I feel bad, it's going to haunt that team, not just him, that team for life. Like, I still think about the game we gave away to Duke, and that was 35 years ago, or something like that. So, and because you don't think about, one Boozer's going to the NBA this year. That team will never play together again. That team, everybody says, worry about the next play, the next game. It doesn't happen like that in reality. Those guys are breaking up. You might find some guys to fill in those pieces, but Boozer missed out on his opportunity to be a national champion. And you feel bad for him, but at the same time, when you're on the winning end, it's something that you enjoy. You look back, you leave a legacy that will never be taken away, and people will always remember it. Mullins will always be remembered for that shot. UConn, this team will always be remembered, no matter what happens. And if they do win the final national championship, it's going to be on CBS or ESPN or forever. So we'll see that play in this run forever.
Well, now, will you go to Indy to reunite with all your boys?
I'm going. Yeah, I'm hoping they win the first. I can't make the first game because I'm going with my family away to Virginia for Easter. But we'll go to the championship game. Hopefully they'll make it, and I can get to see that one. I've been to all the other ones. But this one is just, since it's Easter, you set up your plans a little early, but I will go.
How does this help Scott Burrell recruiting? I mean, I'm telling you, this gives you a little more juice, and you already had a lot.
It does give me more juice. I just wish the kids I recruited had the same juice as I did. I just, what? Kids got to realize, if you're not going to win a national championship at Division I, there's nothing wrong with going to Division II and having the same opportunity to win a national championship. And that's what I preach to these kids. A lot of kids want to go low major Division I just to tell their friends it's Division I. But do you have a chance to win a national championship? Is your season, could it be special ending with you winning your last game at a low major? No. Your last game can be won at a Division II if you're willing to sacrifice, lose your ego to go to Division II. It's still great basketball. You still got to make shots, and you're still playing to get some great competition.
Who did you get a text from yesterday that surprised you the most? Whether it was a group text or whether it was just specifically to you, like who came out of the woodwork? Somebody you hadn't heard from in a while, and you were like, "Man, we really are all in this together."
To be honest, can't tell you one person, but like I've obviously run a chain text, like you said, with all my players I played with. But I got text from Bahamas, I got text from Canada, I got text from Mexico, I got like text from everywhere where I have friends saying congratulations, what a great game. So it's people all over the world text me from after that game.
Scott Burrell, you're a winner. Thank you for joining us today. Seriously, man, I really appreciate you taking the time on short notice. But I did want to share some of this emotion and positivity and this UConn aura that you have with everybody else today.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's always fun to be on your show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll talk again soon, man. I appreciate it. Any way we can ever help you, you holler, let me know, man.
Well, hopefully Monday we can talk again, and I'll be at the national championship game.
All right, I'm in. If you go to the championship, we're gonna have Chris Visser bother you again. Thank you so much, Scott.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. Scott Burrell, quickly becoming a show favorite. And now people in on the comments, they're pumped about Scott. That was very cool. And Scott's he's a winner. I mean, I'm overcome with excitement after talking to him. And a game like that, one for the ages. And I know, and to just speak a little bit to the game that Scott's talking about, Scott throws the pass to Tate George, length of the court. Tate George spins around, hits a jumper. They beat Clemson. So they advanced to the Elite Eight. And then, if I'm not mistaken, that game was on Easter. Okay. And the Duke UConn game, you have to realize, I'm not saying time management has changed, but Leitner was inbounding. Okay, now there's, I think, maybe 1.5 seconds left, maybe 2 seconds left in this game at the Meadowlands, the one that Scott was talking about, where they lost, right, where Duke got them. And Leitner inbounds it, sort of similar to yesterday when Mullins gave it to Caravan, but this was more designed by Coach K out of the timeout. Leitner inbounds it and then gets it right back. And UConn made the mistake of not, and this is probably a player execution-wise. Certainly wasn't Jim Calhoun's fault, I don't think. But UConn made the mistake of losing track of the inbounder, and the inbounder was Leitner. So he passes the ball and gets it back. And, man, he goes up, little dip, and then hits it. And they won. And it was like, I'm sure for the Scott Burrells of the world and the Danielle Marshalls, Danielle wasn't even on UConn yet. But the Donnie Marshalls, right? The Chris Smiths. I mean, that was just Heartbreak Hotel. And seeing the way that they won yesterday had to be just so fulfilling and so special. And to have Scott here talking with us today is pretty cool. One thing I want to mention, and this is like,
can I real quick, Pete? Can I real quick, before we get away from the shot, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because it's 2026. Twitter, when something happens that's great, it needs to be the greatest thing ever. Is that shot better than Leitner's Kentucky shot?
I witnessed both live and in person. Both shots elicited the same exact response from people that I was around. And what I mean by that is I was with my brother and some of his high school friends. I was in grade school at the time. And a couple of them, they were playing street hockey outside. As the game got closer, they came inside to watch. I wasn't allowed to play street hockey because, one, I sucked, and two, I was too little at the time. But we were all huddled around the television set when Leitner hit that shot against Kentucky. And people just freaked out. Like there was body movement and emotion that was like, you couldn't believe these people were acting like psychopaths. It was almost like Bill Raftery. We saw that. We've all seen the video by now.
Saw Billis's comment about it.
Yeah, you shared it with me. This is what happens when they call last call, right? If you haven't seen the Bill Raftery video, you got to check it out now. It's not going to be hard to find. He honestly looked like a cat for a second. Like he stopped and did like the, you ever see a cat do that? It was amazing. And then he gives his own color, adds some color to it, which was very cool as well. And then, of course, by the way, he almost steps on Iron Eagle, but Iron Eagle just marches for memories or whatever. He like goes right through it. But and then yesterday I was watching it by myself, but I freaked out. I was like, and I was so elated and excited that I had witnessed something like that. And if it comes down to it, I was texting my cousin Adam, who lives in Stonington, Connecticut. So I was kind of like, he's a big Villanova fan because of his affiliation with my family, but he knows UConn forever. And it was just one of those moments. Where were you? And I think that, God, that's such a tough question. I'm kind of dancing around it. Because I think yesterday's might have been better. I think yesterday's might have been better because of, and this happens as a play-by-play guy, and I've gotten better at this, but you're usually, for some reason, it's embedded in us that we're going to get a pause to build up to the moment. Like there'll be a timeout before the big play. When the big play happens like that, like a deflection, oh my gosh, that's right. They don't have any timeouts. Boom, the pass to Caravan. Then he goes back to him. And then the shot, it's like, oh my God, we just saw that happen. And it's funny because I was watching highlights of Furman against Virginia, and that was a much
first thing I thought of. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the same thing. Let me ask you this question because I think it is rubbish. And Jay Williams, who I don't always agree with, but I like a lot. He was like, if you are saying that John Shire is a choke artist, you have exposed yourself as a joke of a basketball person. No, you think he could be a choke artist?
I think no, but I think Duke has had 2 all-time chokes back-to-back years here. Like, what was it, 9 with a minute and a half left in a Final Four game? Blew that. And then this one, like, it's tough for me to blame the coach in this one when it's a turnover like that. But like they had 10 seconds left. You didn't even need to get over half court for 1 second. And even if you do, it's like, you turn it over with 0.3 seconds left. Okay. What are they going to do? So like, no, I think it's probably a little harsh on Shire, but Duke as a program, Duke as a team, like, yeah, they've lost 4 games over the last calendar year, the last 12 months, I guess. And every single one they've led by double digits in. Every one they've led by at least 13. And they lost all. Those are the 4 losses. So no, but I would say Duke has had 2 epic chokes the last 2 seasons. This is the first time in history a 1 seed has been up by 15 at the half of a tournament game and lost.
134 and
and obviously that is different from a 1 seed playing a 4 in the Sweet 16. Like, this is UConn and a 2 seed, like, UConn stacked and loaded too. But that is a pretty embarrassing choke, Pete. That was right there.
So here's the one thing. Here's the Jay Williams tweet, and I'll just like give you a little context because I retweeted it, so I got it right here because I can. Okay, so this is Jay Williams said the fastest way to expose yourself as a casual ?
Yeah, which is the worst. That's the worst thing you can
call John Shire a choker. And here's what he's saying: took Coach K 16 years to win a title. Took Bill Self 15 years.
Well, yes. Okay.
Hang on, Cameron.
I get this point. Okay.
It took Roy Williams 17. Took John Wooden 16. Took Jay Wright 22. Hold on. I got to bless myself when I say Jay Wright. In the name of the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Tom Izzo took him 5 years. John Calipari 20 years. John Thompson 12 years. So, and it's not necessarily, John Shire, that's the gift and the curse. You have kind of been anointed because I was thinking about this yesterday. And honestly, I was thinking about it when I was taken by how I really think John Shire is a good looking guy. I was like, he is a handsome guy. He really is. And then I was like, well, he's handsome because he's only 38. And then I thought, he's by no means Coach K's puppet, but by hiring John Shire or by moving the university to hire John Shire, Coach K is still somewhat an extension of this thing, right?
Yes.
I wonder what, and I could ask Spatola about this, but I wonder what Coach K was like yesterday. like after that loss? Like, is he inconsolable?
Yeah.
You
I don't know
think
if he's
so?
talked yet. I don't know if he's talked yet. See, I don't know if he's spoken to Mickey yet after that. He's probably shot out some texts to the fellas. Yes. Central Mass guy Alex Caravan. I don't know how happy I am. I had to, by the way, funny kind of inside story. So I had to call my dad yesterday to talk about some wedding stuff, like some financial things, which isn't a very fun thing to talk about. And it was during the early part of the second half of this game. And I knew he was locked into this game, but they were up by 15. I was like, I gotta get this call before I forget, before he starts winding down for the night. And like, we're talking, we're catching up, and I know he's watching it, and I start watching it, and because I'm hearing him go, man, down to 9, down to 7. What are you doing? And like, Shire's got to get a timeout here. I know the next stoppage is immediate timeout, but come on, it's a 6-point game. Like, he can't believe it. And so we hang up with like 5 minutes left in the game, and I tell my fiance kind of the update, and I forgot to ask like 2 different questions. So I'm like, shoot, man, I got to call him after this game. So I text him. I said, I got to call you again after the game. But like, let's wait this out. And I'm like, oh my God, now I got to call him and ask him for money after this shit. Are you kidding me? Sorry.
Did you call him?
Kidding? I did. And he is not like me in that he does not get inconsolable. He's just like, that must have crushed him, but he was like, bummer. Like, whatever. Yeah. I got bigger things to worry about. He is very much not like me in that sense.
I don't know, man. If there was a game as a Duke fan that was going to crush his soul, that would be. I would be having a tough time. I would be questioning everything around sports. Right.
Every sports fan has had those losses.
Yeah.
I was surprised at myself because, again, I was a fanatical Duke fan growing up, but I would not call myself a Duke fan now. When they're playing, like in that game yesterday, I'm rooting for them. But this used to control my whole life, like the other teams do. I was surprised that I didn't end up being like PO'd. You know, I was like, thank God I'm fine with this. It was,
you've suffered enough, Cam. You
remind me
of John F. Kennedy Jr. in that show I'm watching. You know, it's just like one tragedy after another. Poor Caroline Kennedy. I mean, I watched that again. I put that on at halftime. The last 2 episodes of that show are so dark. The episode 8 is just a long, hour-long argument between John and Carolyn. And then the last one is them dying. And, I'll say 2 things, and then we'll get back to this. Well, we'll talk about – I'll just say it now.
Be good time.
And I could catch crap for this, but it's unfortunate, but it's true. Both Kobe and JFK Jr., they had no business being in the air that day.
Correct.
That sucks.
Correct.
And I get it. We're young, we're invincible, but the more you look into the JFK thing, oh man, he shouldn't have been up there.
No way.
He shouldn't have been up there. And Kobe, the same deal. And so that sucks. So that show is just dark and it's sad. I mean, I can't even imagine being a Duke fan, having to consume both of those this weekend.
That would be difficult. That was tough.
Oh my gosh! But I do want to go back to the game, and since I have you here, and I know you're
good because I gotta say my piece about the shots too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you're hungover. You're coming off a bachelor party. I know you're tired. I appreciate your enthusiasm to join the show. I wasn't going to call on you today. Today Cam was off, but you said, "Hey, I want to get involved," so here we are. Okay. So my question for you is, and I'm starting to think now we have to start to look at Danny Hurley. And like, where is he in that coaching, like that elite category? Because here's the thing, we get caught up in the shenanigans and he can be kind of a caricature of a coach. But that dude is a boss. And what he said, I think that there is something so very real about that. And Scott Burrell just shared with us that it is real, that he was like, around this time of year, there's something about UConn is you just know you're going to win these games. I mean, good Lord, what an advantage that is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Jay Wright told us when you were in a huddle with Coach Massimino in the last 5 minutes or 2 minutes, he was that guy you just thought he's going to win us the game. Like you have that belief, and UConn has that now. It's amazing.
And to add to that, which, kind of sounds schmaltzy and like little sports movie-ish of like, Duke obviously has that too. They have that mystique of like, we're Duke when we go in there. Like Duke is never the underdog kind of mentality. But, they've got studs and they're all 19-year-olds. UConn has that prestige and that feeling. And they've got Alex Karaban, who's done that before. He's won 2 national championships and solo ball, national championship. Those guys who have actually like kind of almost in a way like earned that mystique over the last couple of years, earned that right to be like, yeah, this is our time. This is when we take over. This is we puff our chests out and we win games when it really matters. Those guys actually have done it. Yeah. Cam Boozer and Cooper Flagg have that because they have Duke across their chest, because Christian Laettner did that, because Bobby Hurley did that, and John Shire did that. UConn, Alex Karaban has that because Alex Karaban did that, and Solo Ball did that. And Braylon Mullins, I guess, is a kid too, but he didn't win the championship. But it is kind of that interesting dynamic of like, yeah, these guys that are on the floor with me have done this, not just Danny Hurley, not just Mike Krzyzewski, not just the coach that can get us there. So it's almost like two different aspects, and UConn had them both. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally I co-sign on that. And for a team that made no shots in the first half from 3, to be able to bounce back from that and still, like, I don't know, it was, miracle. We throw that around in sports, but just what a chain of events. What an amazing, and Danny Hurley is now, like, he is just so special to me. Even like after that, and God, good on CBS, man. They go to, you see his mom and his dad, and both of them say holy effing HIT. His mother,
Bob Hurley cuss? You're kidding me.
I always wonder where Bobby is. Like, I always feel for Bobby calling so many Arizona State games. I'm like, Bobby's got to be happy, but there's part of him that's like, God damn it. Like, but he's got to be.
Can he just slow down a bit? Yeah. That is so, like, kind of not morbidly, but kind of weirdly funny of like Bobby, like Danny was overlooked for so many years because Bobby was the good player, and Bobby was everyone knew Bob's son was Bobby, and then, oh yeah, Danny's coaching and Bobby's on his staff and vice versa. And then Dan gets the big break after Bobby gets the big break. Arizona State was his big break. And then UConn, oh, that's a good job. And now, bam, he's one of, if not the best active college basketball coach.
It's wild.
It's tough to argue right now.
It's so good for the sport too. And for CBS as well, from a television perspective. Like, I mean, honestly, I was pulling for Arizona because I like Tommy Lloyd and I like the Big 12. But outside of that, like, if Duke had won that game, I would have been like, nah, okay. Now, UConn winning.
Now, Pete, you would have been on the show and you would have been like, it's great for college basketball.
No,
that
I wouldn't
Duke
have.
is back here.
No, I wouldn't have. I would have been like, dude, I swear to God, I was watching that goddamn Love Story, like 5 minutes gone in the second, and I was like, but I had the game on, so I was like, because I'm not going to be that dude that misses like a game like that. And it's the Final Four. Like, I feel guilty sometimes, but I'm like, I've just had enough goddamn basketball. And that game earlier was a rout. Christy was at a bachelorette party. I had the whole place to myself. And I was really enjoying just kind of doing whatever. But then that game was just such a ride. But I'll say now I really have skin in the game for UConn. Like, I will watch every last second of the Final Four now because of Arizona, because of UConn, and because of Danny Hurley, and because of Mullins and that shot. Like, there is something magical we are now all a part of. And that's what I mean. When you watch a moment like that, you become invested. And I'm telling you, the powers that be at CBS, where maybe they were like, hopefully they'll forget about Nate Burleson, his jacket, and that halftime show.
We haven't talked about it.
I had Tim Brando on the Westwood One show. All right. So Brando was awesome. I already said this. And Brando texted me after he was on, and he goes, "Did you see that halftime show?" I was like, "No." I swear to God. I was like, "No." Because I guess he knows I'm the only schlep that like pays attention to this stuff that was awake probably.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I didn't. And then he just told me what he thought of it in no uncertain terms. And then I said, I was actually going to ask you what you thought about Nate Burleson in that hosting chair, because that's something Tim did. Tim not only hosted at CBS, but also called tournament games for CBS. Like, so he was like, I was like, I thought about asking you that, but then I thought better of it. Like, I don't need to be on awful announcing when Tim Brando crushes CBS Sports. Like, I'm not there yet, or like I don't need any part of that.
It could be good awful announcing redemption for you.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
It would
Not
be.
on the wrong end this time.
I'll be on the wrong end again, though. That's the point.
Yeah, kind of.
But he was like, and even Brando, who was not shy, but he said, good call. That's more for your daytime show. Because he would have annihilated him. He knows he would.
Yeah.
But yeah, the CBS thing, like they caught a huge break yesterday with that catch. And then Tracy Wolfson was just amazing. I mean, the symphonic like situation with, Grant Hill has really, he is just really, really good in that role. Raftery is awesome. I think Grant Hill has surprised people with just how good he has become.
I think he's one of the best.
And you know what else I appreciate? Obviously, no, Iron Eagle's amazing. But you know what else I appreciate is that I really don't ever feel like Billis or Grant Hill. I'm not so sure about Jay Williams, but I never worry about them with Duke bias. I don't.
Well, Jay Williams was like wearing a Carolina sweatshirt a couple weeks ago in Chapel Hill. But yes, you would never, if you were a casual college basketball fan, or you were someone who is younger than me and doesn't know who Grant Hill is. Unfortunately, there are some of those. You wouldn't know that he went to Duke. Billis the same way. You wouldn't know that he went to Duke if you just heard him do a Duke game.
No,
it's big.
There's one last thing I want to say before you get to you want to do some shots.
I just wanted to give my thoughts on where this ranks with the Leitner shot. But
so there's one more thing that Steve Lapis said yesterday that I apply to John Shire, and unfortunately it might be too late, but it does apply to Rick Barnes. Tennessee, 3 straight Elite Eights, 3 straight losses. They have lost to a 1 seed every time. And Steve Lapis, he and Catalan are like Hall & Oates to me now. It's just like the two of them together are perfect. Lapis said, and he's like this, sometimes you just gotta get breaks. You gotta get a break here and there. Playing 3 number 1 seeds, that's not getting a break, But trust me, everybody around the country, when they see Rick Barnes, and they know what time it is. Like I love that. That's Lapis is the best, dude. And he went from the most unlikable coach from body language wise at Villanova to the most celebrated figure, like in college basketball broadcasting, and like buddies of mine that like go to the same country club as Lapis, like everybody Steve Lapis walks on water. It's amazing.
They love the guy.
They love him. All right, go ahead. Your shot. Go ahead. Give me your.
Yeah. So I found this comparison like really interesting because to me, can I give you the cop out answer?
Yeah.
Like they're both great because they're different. Like to me, this is like comparing, like the Chris Jenkins shot at Villanova to what would have been the shot, that Gordon Hayward hit. If that had gone in at the end of that Butler Duke game. Like what's so great about this one is it's chaos. It's unsettled. Yeah. It's a steal. And then all of a sudden you just got to pass it back. The kid's open, pull it from the logo. And that's unbelievable onions, But with Leitner, that was like precision. That was coming out of a timeout, a perfectly executed play that was aesthetically beautiful. You know what I mean? Like that shot lives on because that's what the coaches show, but the highlights will have the Braylon Mullins shot because it's just ball. The guy is nuts dragging on the floor. He's got an open shot and he just puts it up. Leitner, that was like going out on the court, knowing what he's got to do, knowing that he can catch it, dribble it. That's a big part of that is 1.2 or 2.1. He can come down and dribble it and then put it up. Like they're two different things, right, Pete? Like they're both great. And if you want to say one's better than the other, okay.
No, I can't. And you brought up the Jenkins shot. That was another masterpiece. But I agree with what you're saying. And that kind of speaks to what I was saying. Like there's just something about chaos. Like when you're like, and Raf gave us that, like, wait a minute, like nobody called a timeout. Like this is really happening. Like when, and this has been, I've seen this more this year. Maybe that's because I witnessed it myself. And I never like actually bungled a call, but I did find myself shocked at how there were no timeouts called and like sort of racing to catch up, right? Because there was a period in time, whether it was the NBA, whether it was college basketball, I felt like there were a lot of timeouts, timeout.
Yeah.
We have seen a new strategy, and plus some TV timeouts were very long, but some of the timeouts have been eliminated that coaches can call and use. And with the challenges too, that sometimes will strip coaches of timeouts down the stretch if you lose a challenge. And there is the chaotic, like, outcome is just like, oh my gosh, that really just happened, you know?
Yeah. It certainly really had that feeling last night. Yeah.
I mean, it was completely wild. And the one thing I will say, if the Hayward shot had gone in, almost like if that shot had gone in, they wouldn't have been as special because there's too much luck involved in those. I believe that, like, a shot that long is almost like, oh my, like,
yeah, maybe not that special in the way that you and I talk about it, but
yeah,
that would be at the front of every sports montage ever.
It would.
That would have broken me as a young man. That was like the peak of my Duke fandom. That the whole country would have thought it was the greatest thing to ever happen to sports anywhere, and I would have hated it. I remember having that feeling, by the way, as a 12-year-old of like the next day of like, if that shot went in, I never ever would have seen the end of that, which is not something you think of as a 12-year-old, but I did. I was like, thank God that didn't go in. But that's kind of what I'm talking about with this of like, the Leitner one and the Jenkins one, those are clearly designed plays. That's just perfectly executed plays. Bryce Drew, how about that one from 98? That was a Bill Stewart lesson, speaking of my dad, because after the game, they asked Bryce if he had ever made a shot like that. And he said, yeah, we do it every day in practice. And that was like a good life lesson from my dad of like, hey,
Homer Drew.
But yeah, that's another perfectly executed play that they just do all the time. And it comes through on the biggest stage. Gordon Hayward, that would have been kind of luck of the draw with some skill.
A little bit, yeah, but it still would have been craziness because they
crazy, sure, but
it was a dark time for your boy. I had borrowed like $20 off of my buddy. I was in Charlotte. This is before I got sober. I had drank the $20, somehow got home, passed out at halftime in a house that wasn't mine, and then woke up and then found out that Gordon Hayward had missed the shot. So, I mean, that was a dark time for your boy. Okay, so just to give some perspective.
I'm glad we got you where we got you now.
Woo! Yeah! Let's go, LSU! Woo!
Operator, won't you put me on through? All right, let's take a break. Some things to take
we'll come back. We got plenty more to unpack. We've gone so long without a commercial. We won't bother you for too much longer. But we had to start out with Scott Burrell. Amazing get by Chris Visser. There's so much going on today. I got an interview with Todd McShay that we're going to share with you later in the week. But I got this today at CVS, by the way. I mean, there's something special about having the absolute, because McShay and we used to do the guides for the War Room, and Gary Horton, God rest his soul. And the thing that's awesome about this is there's just a page on all the big prospects. Like, there's something to being able to flip through an actual magazine and reading this stuff and not having to go online all the time. Like for the radio show that I do here, or the show I do here every day, or the radio show, I had 4 hours to do for Westwood One on Saturday. And I was trying to print stuff up and I couldn't get it printed. Friday night, I called a baseball game from here virtually for ESPN, and I couldn't get my stats and notes printed up. And it sucked. I hate that. I need the documents to go through. All right, we're going to go through some more with you after the break. Obviously, we're pretty excited. Look at that. Chris Visser. He agrees with you, Cam.
Sometimes I make good points.
We can't hear Cam.
Sometimes.
Yeah, well, so does Visser always makes good points.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. Thank you, Slovatrics. We'll be right back after this.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Looking for football talk without the fluff? It's Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell, a former NFL quarterback breaking down the game from the inside, plus real conversations about sports, leadership, life, and everything in between. No hot takes for clicks, just honest analysis, strong opinions, and stories you won't hear anywhere else. Football talk and more, the way it's supposed to be. Subscribe now to Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell on YouTube.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
Experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
BosleyMD.com.
Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at FullwellFertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at GEVI.com to discover more.
It's the Pete Sousa Show.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Hi, my name is Mike Lacey. I'm with Beyond the Game, a new podcast to the Rogue Media Network. Just when you thought you'd had a little bit too much about BYU, here we are to provide you even a little bit more. I, as part of the BYU group, am grateful that we're part of the Big 12 and really grateful that we're part of the Rogue Media Network. Thank you.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. I'm trying to get a video image loaded here. I'm going to send it to you, Cam. I'm going to ask you to load it. It's something really special, and I think it's important. Oh, wait, what did you send me here, Cam? Yeah, so Baylor beat Arkansas. I guess, what was it? 5 years ago today to advance to the championship.
To the Final Four.
Wow.
Those were the days, man.
Hey, real quick, Alvin Brooks. He's
Saw
on
that.
the street.
Saw that.
And Jerome Tang is on the street.
Which of them will be coaching Baylor women's basketball next year? I'll hang up and
forget
listen.
Scotty Swingler. Forget that. What if they both? Is there a chance that they both come back to Baylor?
Yes.
Well, Are
Yes.
you hearing anything on that?
No. But I do think there's a good chance. And so Alvin Brooks III went to Kentucky after Scott Drew had turned him down, right? And he took the same role there. And obviously Kentucky, just overall, like that is going to get more eyeballs on you than Baylor, even today. But overall, it's kind of a lateral move, right? To be the associate head coach, to be the assistant at Kentucky. And I think there was a lot of that for family reasons. So
really?
like just the location of it. And so
why? Where's Alvin from?
I think it was more that Kentucky, being the flagship university, had some really good medical centers and research stuff around them, and so that I think really helped him and his family to get kind of specialized care.
Cool.
And so I say that to say,
my buddy Matt Devlin. He had his son with special needs, and when he was in Memphis doing TV for the Grizzlies, and I don't know what is going on with Brooks, but I can just tell you, Matt, it behooved him to move to Charlotte for just a better medical treatment and stuff like that.
Right. And so that I say that to say, not to like say what's going on with his family, but more so that he didn't leave because he didn't like Scott Drew. He didn't leave because of the basketball.
Yeah.
And so, there could definitely be a reunion there. I think he was, this is, again, I don't know the guy, but I think he's probably just, there's the medical stuff and the kind of going out and doing something new, working for a big time program, a coach that he has a lot of respect for. So all that to say, it's not because of a burnt bridge with Scott Drew. It's not because he's ready to go be a head coach, although I'm sure he'd love to be a head coach. So I think he could come back. I think that's realistic.
You think so?
Yeah. I wouldn't say like, 80-20 is coming back, but I think that would be a realistic.
Let me be negative for a second.
Please do.
This
is usually for me, so this is
I know.
good.
Does Scott Drew bringing back Jerome Tang and Alvin Brooks only perpetuate the problem in a sense that like we're not in a put the band back together environment in college basketball? We've got to be forward thinking. We can't go back. I think that's like, is it a Band-Aid on a friggin' bullet hole? Because
I see what you mean there.
But again, I think that's a stupid comment, really. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, like,
I would devil's advocate it back and say, well, what if Baylor needs to get back to the roster building that they had before they were able to get 5 stars? And I get it. It is different because of the portal, but this was a program that like year after year found diamonds in the rough, like year after year. They did it from the high school level, from smaller colleges. And so back then you probably needed like 2 a year, and now you need like 5 or 6, but maybe that is kind of a way to tap back into it.
Yeah. By the way, did you know we were having a conversation last night, and Lex,
one of those ones,
soon to be stepdaughter, was talking to us from college, and we were talking about Easter. And I'm Catholic, and I always mess with these agnostic people around here. I'm like, Lex, come on, Easter. I know you love it. Jesus. And she's like, no, Jesus was cool. He was like a really cool guy. Like, and I know he was Jewish. And she was talking. I was like, do you know
who would have thought the move to New York would get her more in touch?
I know, right?
How cool
But
Jesus is.
we were kind of talking about, Jesus, the character, or the figure, whoever. I'm totally down with Jesus. I think he's the greatest. And I really do. Like, if there's an opportunity to try to be like somebody, just be like that guy. But I go, and we were talking about Jesus was Jewish, and she goes, yeah, he was a Jew, and like, that's cool. And I was like, God damn, did you know John Shire was a Jew? Did you know that?
Did I know that?
I didn't know
Yes,
that.
I did, because at one time, his listed nickname on Wikipedia was the Jewish Jordan.
Oh, good Lord. I didn't know.
From middle school.
He's the man. For some reason, that I don't know. I'm not like,
which is very Jewish.
I just made me like, I don't know. I like him more now. I don't know. I think he's a badass. I do. And I don't know. I think he's the right choice for that job. And I can't wait. Oh, here's something I wanted to mention in the first hour. or the first half hour. When I was a kid watching all the highlights of the NCAA tournament, this is before I was born, everybody talks about the Michael Jordan shot, but really what happened on the other end following the shot when Freddie Brown, a guard for Georgetown, had one of the biggest all-time meltdowns, and he passed the ball to the wrong person on the floor. He passed it to James Worthy, thinking James Worthy was a teammate.
Dude, I speaking of, I just sent you that Baylor thing of when they went to the Final Four. I had this discussion with my dad before the title game because Fred Brown, Georgetown was the higher seed every game. So they wore white every game until the finals. And that's what people, I don't even know if he said that, but that's what people theorized was he was just like split second. Oh yeah, sure. And Baylor, the only game they didn't wear white in that tournament was the national championship. And I'm like, is Davion Mitchell going to throw it to the wrong team tonight? It's so egregious.
But here's the good news.
I think Fred Brown thanks God every day that Michael Jordan's shot was so iconic.
Well, here's the good news. Okay. And this could be Cam Boozer next year or Caden Boozer next year. 2 years later in Seattle, Freddie Brown's the starting point guard on Georgetown, and they win the national title. And the vision,
there 2 years,
the images were iconic. Like Freddie Brown going over to John Thompson with the towel over his shoulder. John Thompson called a timeout so he could take Freddie Brown out of the game and just give him the biggest hug. And he was like, come on over to Papa, baby. We got it done. And it's awesome. He gives him the biggest hug. And it's elation. And that is as much as I don't cheer for Duke, I do cheer for people. And, hopefully that can be Caden Boozer.
Hope he sticks around for it. Yeah.
And John Shire, because that was off the hook for John Thompson and for Freddie Brown, and so maybe we get that.
And back to the Shire thing from earlier that Jason Williams was talking about, Jay Williams, was talking about, of like, that's rough, man. Scotty Swingler, he won't be recommending Alvin Brooks, I don't think, for the women's job, if that helps. But back to that point of earlier of like, yeah, Duke has choked 2 years in a row, and all these guys, it took a long time. But like, by that same token, like Dean Smith was also considered like the guy who couldn't get it done. It was 20 years and like probably 5 Final Fours before he got it done. Yeah. And yeah, Krzyzewski, they lost in 86. They lost the Final Four in 88 and 89. They lost the title game in 90. Like, he was a guy that couldn't get it done. So I would say those reputations are rented. Okay. John Elway's was rented. Not in the NBA, because the best players always somehow win in the NBA at some point. But like those, Paul Pierce, those reputations are rented. John Shire can still be one of the all-time greats. But and by the way, how many people remember that Krzyzewski was on the wrong end of the biggest blowout in the history of college basketball in the national championship game? Who remembers that Mike Krzyzewski's team set the all-time wins in a season record twice and didn't win the national championship either time? Freak shows like me remember, but most people do not remember that in 86 and in 99, they won 37 games both years and didn't win the national championship. And in 99, of course, they lost to UConn. Trajan Langdon traveled. It was like the second travel he had all season.
Let me do a Bumblebee and a Waco golf club.
Let's do it.
Hey, I want everybody to know all over Texas, really all over the country, Bumblebee Blinds is where you can go to get what you need to keep the light out when you want it out and to draw the light in when you want it in. And when I say light, I mean your friends, your family. You'll bring out the best in them if you have an environment that is tailored and by Bumblebee Blinds. And I really mean this. Like, a free consultation, they come out to the crib and they let you know, okay, this is what will work for you. And then you can either take them up on it or add your 2 cents and work together with them. Either way, it's not a phone call you're going to regret, right? Have Bumblebee Blinds, get them out for a free consultation, take them up on whatever they have to offer. And I'm telling you, it will be something you will not regret, okay? Bumblebee Blinds, go to bumblebeeblinds.com, bumblebeeblinds.com, all over Central Texas, all over the country. Also, Lake Waco Golf Club. We're coming up on the Masters. Don't even get me started on Tiger Woods. I'll do a little bit of that after we take a break here. and then we'll get out of here because people have stuff to do, including Cam. He's hungover. I feel bad for him. But back to Lake Waco Golf Club, okay? This is right on the north part of Lake Waco. It's beautiful. You want to do a par 3, you go do 18 holes, par 3. You want to do an executive 18-hole course, you can do that as well. You go to the pro shop, you get all the best gear. You go to the bar, you get all the best food and drink, right? Hey, Cam, little hair of the dog, brother. Only one way to shake it. At least that was my approach for a while. So Lake Waco Golf Club, make sure you go out there. All your friends are going to want to play golf next week as we get ready for the Masters. Are you going to be ready for golf? Go to Lake Waco Golf Club. Get ready for golf and then get ready for the Masters. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about odds for next week's games, and we're talking about Tiger Woods, and then we're out of here. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Savachix.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Are you looking for top-shelf sports talk about the West Virginia Mountaineers, where you can get objective analysis, but with the passion of a fan? Well, look no further than right here at Couz's Corner. I am Justin Couz Walker, the host of Couz's Corner, and you can find my show on demand over at YouTube. Most shows are uploaded by 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also check out my live post-game reaction shows. My special guest interviews, you can find it all on YouTube at Couz's Corner. Go check it out.
With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business.
But boy, it looked effortless.
Man, watch this.
Layups, floaters, threes. He was like an unsolvable equation.
I was born like this.
His resilience, his strength, his belief, adversity never stood a chance.
Know your power.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit personalloans.com today.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on the screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
It's the Pete Sousa Show.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show. Let's take a look before we get out of here. Just a quick preview of the weekend, because now here we are. The Final Four is set. Like if you're UConn and, of course, you're Dan Hurley, that was all amazing. But now it's back to ball breaking and basketball because we still got work to do, right? Illinois has been a total juggernaut, and they come in as a 2.5-point favorite Friday night or Saturday night at 5 o'clock Central Time, 6:09 Eastern Time. That game will take place. You can watch it on TBS, True TV, HBO Max. I get a little frustrated that it's not on CBS, main CBS. I don't know why they do that. I understand you want people to become more familiar with some of the college basketball brands, but put it on CBS. Come on, it's the Final Four. I just put it on CBS. Seriously, what are you doing? Put it on CBS. And then, of course, the second game will be at 7:49 p.m. on Saturday. God forbid we interfere with Blue Bloods or whatever is on at that time on CBS. So, again, this second game will be on CBS. So this game will be on TBS and True TV. Arizona, Michigan. Michigan, a 1.5 favorite. I'm telling you, this is not like bias, and a 1.5 really is not a ton. And I promised my fiance, I'm not, and not because of substantial losing or anything, but I'm off the gambling. First of all, to be totally honest, calling games for NBC, and they're amazing, but they're sending like a lot of, like, you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't. ESPN is very good about like a blanket statement, like, just don't bet on games you're doing. Pretty much that's what I've gathered from it. But NBC's all over it. They're like, look, and they're super cool too. They're not like, hey, we're not saying you can't be in a pool. We're not saying you can't place friendly wagers, but like we are saying that there's just so much going on here, and there's so much fluidity to the situation that like there's like 99.9% of the time there's a reason why you shouldn't do it. So I'm not going to be betting, but if you are, I would say Arizona's the play there. Getting a 1.5, I would actually put it in now and lock it in, because I think that'll change. I truly believe that that'll change. And then, you look at your final, it could be an all Big Ten final. I was talking with my buddy Kari Black this morning from the Big 12 about how, hey, if it's an all Big 12 final, that just is what it is. But then let's take a Big 12 approach to this, right? And if you, and this is, and I cut my man Kari off at the pass because I was right about this. And he was already thinking this. Let me just call this up so I can get it right. So when you look at if Arizona could end up winning the national title, right? Then you take, you back up and you look at, all right, well, look at your champions. You've got Baylor, you've got Kansas, and then you would have Arizona. And over the last 6 years, you would have 3 of the champions, right? But if you're somehow eliminated from that conversation, and if it's all Big Ten, then you're kind of like, man, we were saying we were the best league, in outside of the NBA. This is kind of a shame. I'll tell you this, egg on my face, the Big Ten's nasty, man, nasty. I would have, it would have been fine with me if Iowa won that game. I talked about my buddy Matt Devlin. Jackie, his son, is on the spectrum, and Jack was a manager for Iowa's basketball team. And then he was right behind Iowa's bench, and they showed Jack a ton because he was sitting next to that kid, I think Sirit. Jack was right next to his parents. Jack is still, Ben McCollum being the great guy that he is, kept Jack on staff. So I was pulling for Iowa and my boy Jackie Devlin, but they couldn't get it done. So now it's Illinois and UConn. I would like nothing more than to see a UConn Big 12 Final Four. That fuses my two conferences, right? The Big East and the Big 12. And I would love to see, we've had, by the way, they show Arizona a lot. Of course, they show our buddy Tom Tolbert. Tom's been riding this wave. All the Arizona teams have been, or former players have been riding the wave. And one piece of information around coaching, and I said this on the Saturday night show I hosted on Westwood One, and I'll say it to you guys now. And Fran Fraschilla was tweeting about it this morning, and I'm not right. Well, I think I'm showing the tendency to be right, actually, like 80% of the time, which is why you should be watching this. I'm just too humble to brag on it. But the fact of the matter is that North Carolina job is just not as sexy as it was. And here was a real turning point for me Saturday night before I went on the air. Mark Byington, it was announced that he signed an extension at Vanderbilt. So I would be surprised if TJ Otzelberger took the job. Now, TJ Otzelberger winning at Iowa State and being the type of coach he is, without Josh Jefferson this year, if they had Josh Jefferson, I think we would have been talking about them playing Illinois yesterday and possibly being in the Final Four today. They didn't have him, so they lose. Their chances end. But TJ's still really happy at Iowa State. I can't imagine that he would leave. Todd Golden's not going to leave Florida. Other coaches in the running for that. Tommy Lloyd is not going to leave Arizona. He's just not going to leave Arizona to go coach at North Carolina. There are some weird ties to North Carolina through like Mark Few, but like that's a real stretch. Like, I don't get it. I don't get the correlation there. I just don't think Tommy Lloyd would ever go there. So then you're zeroing in, and I think the guy is going to be Billy Donovan at this point. Because Mark Byington, I just want to lock in on this real quick. Mark Byington signing an extension at Vanderbilt. I never thought I would see the day where you say, thanks but no thanks to North Carolina. I'm staying at Vanderbilt. Like, Mark Byington is not a dummy. Mark Byington has people around him that he is working with, agents, right? Mentors who are telling him, don't take that job. Like, you're just as well off at Vanderbilt as you are at North Carolina until we get this thing in line, right? Because I do believe, like, Blue Bloods are still, you still got the NBA pipeline you can talk about and lean on, although Carolina's has dissipated over the course of the past, like, 8 or 9 years. You still have amazing fan interest, amazing. And it's nationwide a lot of times with some of these schools like Kentucky and North Carolina. You're still going to have a ton of resources. And you do have like name and brand recognition. And, you know, there's other stuff that's even the playing field out though. You know, the NIL, I also think one thing that's hurt folks, these Blue Bloods that have helped me broadcasting wise is that every game is on television now. Like, again, my first foray into college hoops, I was so fortunate because of where I lived and because I think I'm pretty good at this. But, you know, the third or fourth game I actually called for ESPN was Iowa State at Kansas. Like the third or fourth game, I called it on real ESPN. It was a Big 12 game on Plus. Like, and Iowa State, you can see every single game that they play now. And a lot of times that was the juice. And as far back as 10 years ago, you couldn't see every single Iowa State game at your leisure, at your fingertips, right? But now you can. A lot of this stuff that used to ward off some of these other schools from getting the guys that not mid-majors, but other power conferences have, because we're talking about Blue Bloods and everybody else. A lot of that stuff's gone. So I don't know what the hell North Carolina is going to do. It's going to be interesting. But I think Billy Donovan would be a great guy to have them hire. We're going to talk to Scott Williams tomorrow. North Carolina, great. Chicago Bulls, great. I'm curious to see what Scott thinks about all this. Maybe Scott should be the next head coach. I think that would be awesome. Scott coached in the G League, and he was an assistant for the Bucks, NBA assistant for a year. But Scott just, you know, he didn't love it. He likes broadcasting more, and he's damn good at it too. So, you know, North Carolina, that situation is getting pretty clumsy. Another thing that I just want to talk about, and I did a whole thing on this on Saturday night. So you can do Cam's computer froze. I think I'm still up. You can do a couple things. I want you to go to the Pete Sousa Show page. I posted it because Westwood One is so cool. I posted about 15 minutes. I talked about Tiger Woods and his addiction. I want you to go there and listen to it. If you don't want to go there, you can go to my Twitter. I shared it this morning. And if you want to go to Instagram, I shared it there too. And I'll say this because I think this is important. You know, Armin Williams asked me, why do you want to do shows on Westwood One? You have it really good with your 365 and Rogue Media Network now. But he was like, you know, they really wanted to talk to me about doing stuff. And one, I was raised on over-the-air radio. You know, that's how I got into all of this, right? Sports talk in Philly, trying to get WFAN, living in Philly, Costas Coast to Coast overnight, all the play-by-play, right? Harry Callis, Merrill Reese, Sports Talk with Howard Eskin. Like, that's just my thing. But then when you get to a national brand like Westwood One, I would fall asleep listening to Westwood One Monday Night Football games on the radio when I was a kid. But it's got a nationwide reach. Saturday night I'm on in markets all across the country. You're on 4 different stations in LA. Like, you're just connecting with people who get in their cars and turn the radio on, hopefully, right? That being said, to have a platform like that and like this one, where I could go on publicly and talk about my journey being sober and how what is happening to Tiger Woods is the guy's sick. He's got an awful disease, and he's got enablers all around him who want to be close to Tiger Woods. Some of those enablers are doctors who are signing off on these prescriptions. And it's the ultimate double-edged sword. Not only is Tiger more than likely addicted to these prescription drugs, but he's had enough surgeries to justify getting more of them, right? And enough pain. One of those surgeries where he almost lost his leg in his first rollover. How many people do you know that have been in 2 rollover accidents? You don't really know any, do you? Well, I do. And all of them are in sobriety, right? If you don't know somebody that has had 2 rollover accidents that is in recovery, they're either the 1 or 0.5% of the population that has had something horrible like that happen to them, right? and the odds are just against them. And now they're just still living. Luckily, they're alive because you know them, they're alive. Or there's somebody who's had 2 rollover accidents and they can't face the mirror and say, I have an issue. Clearly, I'm using substances. I'm operating vehicles. I need to stop doing this. But that's addiction. Addiction's insanity. Addiction is a rollover crash in 2021 where you almost lose your leg, where you're off the hook, nothing happens. And this is after a DUI in 2017 and another wreck in 2009, both of those connected to substance. And then you have another one, right? Connected to substance. Like, all this stuff, and I'm not breaking any news to you guys, it doesn't happen to the average person that is just out there trying to get by and get to work. It happens to people who have issues with alcohol, issues with drugs. Clearly, Tiger's issue is with drugs. And I'll say this too, because I think this applies to opioids and drugs like heroin. It's different than just picking up the bottle. It really is. Like, we work off of a big book in the 12-step group that I'm a part of. And, it's an old book, but it works really well. And it talks about, well, if you don't think that you're an alcoholic, well, go out and try some controlled drinking. Like, that's how they used to tell people to, figure out if they were really sick or not. And you could go and you would go back and in the 30s or 40s, you drink again, and then you'd probably find yourself in a stupor, and then you'd understand you need recovery. These drugs are so powerful, whether it's heroin, whether it's an opioid, whether it's fentanyl, where like you can't say that anymore. Hey, go try some controlled opioid use. Those drugs are monsters, and they will take you over and ruin your life and bring you to your knees. And the only way to defeat them is to admit defeat. And Tiger has got to do that. And Tiger Woods, like, it's exhausting. And I was talking to my buddy Murph, who's going to come and talk to us about the Masters, but Murph's in recovery too. Murph and I partied together for years, decades, jerseys both in the rafters. But Murph, as a golf fan, was like, honestly, I hate that this happened for Tiger. Hopefully he can get better. But as a golf fan, like a real golf fan, he's like, I'm so sick of hearing about Tiger, whether he's going to play in the Masters or whether he's going to play in the Senior Open. It's almost like Lane Kiffin this year with LSU or Ole Miss. And Trinidad Chambliss is having an amazing year, but nobody's talking about that because Lane is sucking all the air out of the room. Tiger does that to some of these majors, specifically the Masters. That won't happen this year, I don't think, unless this guy is so unless he's just so sick that he thinks that that's where he needs to be. In 2009, after he had those affairs and after we really weren't sure what his deal was, but clearly it was awful what had happened to him, he played in the 2010 Masters. And I think we could kind of all agree at the time, everyone was like, well, that's a good look for Tiger. This is where he needs to be. It's therapeutic for him to participate in the Masters and be on a golf course. Like, all that's gone, guys. Like, there's no more like, it's therapeutic for Tiger to be on a golf club. Tiger needs to be immersed in recovery for probably 18 months. And that's my story. And if you're just joining us, the first time you ever heard it, like, I went to rehab. I went to a recovery house, which was not, on the Riviera, right? It wasn't the Four Seasons. And then I went another place after that. was basically institutionalized for like 10 months. And then when I got out of all that, I was very connected to sobriety, recovery, and going to and doing the things that I needed to do to stay sober. It's a marathon, dude. It's not a sprint. Like 30 days, at promises ain't going to do it for Tiger, at least if he's at all like me. And now we're talking about heavy duty stuff. So the enablers need to be out of Tiger's life. Like, give him the heave-ho, because I can promise you, and maybe you hate Donald Trump, okay? But Donald Trump is a guy who lost his brother to alcoholism and addiction. And I know that Donald Trump is actually pretty open about like how scary the addiction is to him. You know, his niece or somebody in his family is dating Tiger Woods. And like, and again, the president didn't take a dump on Tiger, but like everybody's worried for this guy. And like, I would even think the president, who we can all agree is a little inconsistent at times, even he knows that like Tiger needs help. You know what I mean? Like what's one thing we can all agree on is that this guy needs help. People that disagree on everything. So we hope he gets the help that he needs, but you know, he's got to change course. And I mean, course, like sobriety course, and it's got to be real. Like he's got to go all in. And if he goes all in, he can help so many people. And that's the good news here. If Tiger Woods turns his life around and gets sober and, you know, goes back to playing on the senior tour, or maybe once again playing in the Masters, like nobody's saying like you can't do this stuff ever again, just not right now. And by the way, the guy's 50 years old. He's got 30 great years left if he just takes care of himself, you know? And those 30 years can be packed with a lot of special juice that he can share with people and he can use to help people. Because I think the amazing thing about recovery, which is why I was able to finally flip the switch and just like turn it over and be like, all right, whatever you guys got, I need it because I can't stop doing this stuff, was because of celebrities. I always talk about, I read the book, I always forget the name. Oh, Moments of Clarity. It was by Christopher Lawford Kennedy, who, of course, in true Kennedy fashion, after he got sober and was living this amazing life, the guy had a freaking heart attack and died. But he gave us a lot of good stuff before he passed away. Christopher Lawford Kennedy did. And, you know, he had this book Moments of Clarity, where it was Thomas Hollywood Henderson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Alec Baldwin, Lou Gossett Jr. I think Tina Turner was in there. People who you never thought would have all these issues with alcohol and drugs. And they were talking about their stories of sobriety. And I think when it comes from a powerful person with a platform like Tiger has, you can change a lot of lives. So, I mean, yeah, am I seeing it through rose-colored glasses right now? I am. But I gave you the full Monty before that, too. All right, the Pete Sousa Show. We'll be back tomorrow with Scott Williams. Thank you to Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Thank you to Slovacics. Thank you to Scott Burrell, man. Thank you to Chris Visser. Thank you to Cam Stewart. God damn, for Cam to come back after a long bachelor party weekend like that and to be at full strength and to want to contribute means a lot to me. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be in Waco tomorrow. I think I got to pick Caden up from school because the missus has to get a facial, and it's like, don't mess with that. I feel like I'm an employee sometimes, but that's fine because I like being employed, right? Better than being unemployable, right? Whether it's for the missus or whether it's for you guys or ESPN or NBC or who knows what else I'll do. But yeah, it's good to be a part and pack some stuff into the stream of life. All right. Pete Sousa Show. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, Slovacics.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Sports.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.